Hi out there, this is Cynthia Howard and welcome to my show Freedom Cast. Today is Friday, September 20th, 2019. I hope you're having a good day out there. We usually talk about some controversial subjects and today is no exception. We're going to talk about something that is very alarming in today's society and a bit outrageous and somewhat embarrassing. It's a new catchphrase, genderism, or catchwords, sexual orientation. Now we know the homosexuality lifestyle, bisexuality, has existed for centuries, even before Christ, during the Roman Empire, during the reign of Julius Caesar. And since that time, it has been on the back burner, except for in the 1970s when the gay pride parade was exhibiting the big gay flag in the streets of San Francisco. And then maybe there was a lull period of time when we didn't hear about it or see it that much. And then during the Obama administration, several years ago, the White House was lit up with all the LGBTQ colors, the colors of the gay pride flags. So it came back to life during the Obama administration. And since then, the flag has appeared in numerous cities and towns, villages, everywhere via nonprofit groups. In fact, it has appeared in my local city, my little small city I call more like a town in Claremont, New Hampshire, at the school. And it was so controversial that it was removed. They removed it to the town park. And then from the town park, it was transferred back to where it came from, down the street at the local nonprofit group where it still flies in downtown Claremont. But of course, it's not as visible. So this has happened, and it's been happening for years in bits and pieces. And Dr. Franklin Graham has stated that, and I feel the same way, made a comment that the gay flag, the gay pride flag, should be offensive to Christians. And yet it is. Because if we flew the Christian flag, or any other number of flags that we believe in, whether it's the Don't Tread on Me flag, we get attacked. Oh, we don't believe the Christian flag should be flown because that is to do with Christianity, and it offends some of us that aren't Christians. But yet, on the other hand, they can fly the gay flag, and most of us who are conservatives really don't say that much about it. We may make comments, but we don't come out in full attack mode like they do when we fly the Christian flag. Now, genderism and sexual orientation is being accepted today as being part of inclusivity and diversity. And if we don't accept it, it's discriminating against them who are of the gay community. Yet what about when transgender athletes that were boys compete against girls? They usually have an unfair advantage and they win in the competition. Isn't that discriminatory when they compete against girl athletes? And the girls don't stand a chance because they still have all their weight, their physical agility, and their strength that boys have, and yet most every time, they win against the girls. So I think that's discriminating, and you don't hear much about it. Once in a while you might see an article out there on social media where someone makes statements about it, but it's considered norm because someone wants to change their gender. And so because of that, they can compete. And yet, they discriminate by doing so. Now, all these subjects, of course, are taboo. A lot of people don't want to talk about it because most people in the gay community or in the LGBTQ community are productive members of society. They're nice people. They're professional. And they don't bother anybody. And I know a lot of people like that. And there's nothing wrong with their lifestyle if they keep it to themselves and they don't affect anyone else's life. And I imagine you feel the same way about it as I do. But where I draw the line, where I do draw the line, and where you should draw the line in the sand, is when they start indoctrinating the children, or sexualizing the children, or using children as pawns. Such as when the transgender athletes compete against girls and they were previously boys and they have an unfair advantage. That's one reason. And when they have it in school as programs through a non-profit organization. There are a lot of programs out there that are being placed into the school system or being placed by non-profit groups who are recipients of your tax dollars, such as the story time hours. They have the story time hours in the schools. It's being funded by your tax dollars through the New Hampshire, for instance, through the New Hampshire Health and Human Service budget. So there is something you can do about that. You can object to that. And, they say it's no harm for the kids to learn about these things. But in some cases across the country, and in some cities and towns in New Hampshire, it has gone beyond that, because I think it's in Dover and Portsmouth and Nashua, there have been instances of drag queens, men dressed as women, who are telling the stories to the little girls. They sit them down on their laps, they hold them, and they are dressed in some strange costumes. They look like something from a bar. They don't look like something or someone who belongs in a story hour for children. That's the case. And a lot of times the libraries or the school systems don't tell the parents, so they are innocent when they go. They don't realize what's going to come about these story hours, and they see the drag queen there, and the drag queen says, can the little girl sit in my lap? And the little girl sits on the lap, and they fondle her, and they have her right there present as if it's innocent, when in actuality it isn't innocent. They know what they're doing. They're trying to influence children. They're trying to convert children into this at an early age. So it's embedded in their psyche, and in later years, maybe they become transgender or whatever, as long as the parents don't become more involved in the situation. But it's utterly disgusting to see this abound. And I know in my city and town there is no drag queen story hours, but there are story hours through this non-profit group about diversity and inclusion, which means they talk about it. Even talking about it is wrong. It's up to the parents to talk about it, but not when they're 4 and 5 years old, or even any elementary age. It's up to the parents to talk about this when they're older, maybe preteen, early teen. This should not be in any library or any school system through nonprofit, and especially our tax dollars paying for it, because you're paying for it. In a lot of places, it's being influenced by the American Library Association. Look it up. It's a $55 million organization. It's existed for hundreds of years, but now they have what they call a diversity literary outreach, where they're purposely having these story time hours for little kids to learn about sexuality, and having drag queens in the presence of these little kids. So they're all for it. They're the ones pushing it. And if your library in your city or town, or your librarians in your city or town belongs, they're being influenced or advised to do this, to host these. Oh, what a wonderful thing this is. Well, it's not a wonderful thing. It's a very evil, bad thing. And in the American Library Association, they have round tables for lesbians, bisexuals, and transgender. It's all right if they're employees, I suppose, but not if it's to influence and indoctrinate children, which they're doing now currently across the country. And in fact, there was one place in Texas where a known pedophile was a drag queen in these story hours, and they had found out. He was never checked out by the school system or by the city or town. He just accepted the job, wanted to participate, and they allowed him without any background check. Now, that doesn't happen with any other employee in the town or the school district, but it's happening with these people that are conducting the story time hours, especially the so-called drag queens. And a lot of these nonprofit groups are worth millions of dollars. In fact, the American Library Association its net worth is at $55 million. And it's being subsidized by taxpayers. It's ridiculous that our money is being used for purposes like this. It's crazy. And then in our, in our local city or town, we have a project called SHINE, Sexual Health Information Network, with a little green mobile card. So cute. It's all the pretty colors, where they teach children about sexual habits and preventing pregnancy and preventing STDs and being careful with sex. And that's mainly for the high school students. But is it the responsibility of the schools, or is it the responsibility of the parents to teach about sex? I say it's the responsibility of the parents. They're taking control of the children over the parents, and it shouldn't even exist. And they receive the funding of the New Hampshire, well, they don't receive the funding directly, but it's through the schools that they're receiving funding to promote these programs, through the New Hampshire Health and Human Services. So it's happening not only in my town, but surrounding towns in the county, Sullivan County and Grafton County. And they're also getting money from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, and they're getting numerous donations because it's nonprofit, and they're part of another larger nonprofit organization, which is worth well over $500,000 to promote these programs, to indoctrinate the kids. But what they're doing is they're indoctrinating kids to be promiscuous, to participate in sex at an early age, which they shouldn't be doing. So they're trying to say it's for the health reasons, for the safety and security, to not have any future early pregnancies or diseases, but in reality, it's promoting promiscuity within the children, and it's taking the parental control away. It's very wrong. It's very serious. And you should be aware of that, and you should contact the legislature to tell them to stop funding these programs, and to advise anyone who donates to stop donating to these programs, so that we will not have these programs in the school, because it doesn't belong in the school. Education belongs when they need to learn things for a job or to go on to college, but anything that's social, anything to do with sexuality, should be taught in the home by the parents or the guardian, or whatever the case may be, but not go beyond that, beyond their role of an educational institution via a non-profit organization. Just because it's not funded, this program, it's not funded locally, doesn't mean it isn't funded by taxpayer dollars, which in this case it is, and it needs to stop. Even contact the governor, and I'm sure it happens across the country, and it needs to stop. They also have another program through this non-profit group in my local area called Rural Outright, and this exists across the country. Sounds like a catchy little word or title, but in reality what it does is it supports teenagers and the youth in the LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexuality, transgender, and queer community, to offer, listen to this, this is one of the things they offer in their group. And they also have a gay club in the high school, and transgender, so that they support them, he said. They offer safe sex supplies, whatever that means. Whatever the heck that means, safe sex supplies. I mean, for the LGBTQ community. Think about that. That is kind of strange, and that's kind of weird. I mean, we shouldn't even have to be talking about stuff like this or reading about stuff like this. But it's happening out there, and it's very annoying. And for adults, it's even embarrassing. I don't know what the heck this is. I mean, what do they want, a generation of just girls that communicate with girls, or boys communicate? They don't want people that are straight anymore. They are promoting the gay lifestyle is what they're doing. They're promoting it through the children, and that's the worst place it can be promoted. I mean, and they start in the schools because they know the young minds are easily led, and if it's a professional or if it's through the school, well, then it's okay, it's all right. But no, it's not okay, and it's not all right. And you as parents need to put your foot down and say, we don't want these programs in the school. And you have to go to the school board and tell them that, because otherwise it will continue and it'll be full speed ahead. And it's never too late to stop it. You know, you've got to, just like it is when you protest abortion or when you protest about drugs or any other number of topics that are out there that are bad for the kids. You need to go out and fight it. Now, the clearinghouse for the funding of a lot of these nonprofits, including this nonprofit group, is through the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority. Now, they fund a lot of nonprofit groups that are good, you know, that do good things in the communities, in the state. I agree, but should taxpayer dollars be subsidizing nonprofit groups? I don't think so. And what happens is they give incentives to business to make the donations, or maybe the businesses wouldn't donate to these programs or these groups. What they do is, whatever you donate, 75% of a tax credit is given in New Hampshire for either the business profits tax or the business enterprise tax, or a number of other taxes that you get written off. So it's an incentive for you to donate. And if it's a smaller nonprofit group, you might be more than likely or more inclined to donate to that, such as this organization is. It's not even $1 million organization, but maybe it'll grow because there'll be an incentive to donate to them and to get 75% off your business taxes in the state of New Hampshire. How about that? So if the incentives weren't there, again, contact the legislature and maybe block and say, you know, not the social programs that indoctrinate or sexualize the children, but if you want to give to other nonprofits, maybe that is the thing to do. Whatever it is to block this, to stop the money from flowing into these nonprofit groups that hurt and destroy the lives of children, we must think about doing this. We must be thinking out of the box on how to change things so it doesn't happen, because wherever there's a loophole in the law and the money flows, you're going to get bad things happen. They just do. A lot of this, the mother organization, I would like to say, comes into the picture on a lot of these non-profit programs through none other than our friend the United Nations. Look it up. Back in early 90s, UN Agenda 21 was signed by our President George Herbert Walker Bush with several other countries. And they signed it in, so it's soft law. It never was voted in by Congress or by any of the state legislatures, but they have a lot of evil programs that they do. And subsequently, we have another document that was added to the original Agenda 21 document. It's called Agenda 2030. That's the latest document. So they added more to the original document. It's 41 pages long, and lo and behold, within that 41-page document, you will see that there is there's targeting of gender equality, of lifestyles empowering women, population control, and the like. In other words, I believe it's Article 5 of the Agenda 2030 document, where they talk about gender equality, and this is what they want to do in the next 10 years, make it so that whatever way, shape, or form that they can convert people into same sexuality or changes in their gender, it is what they are pushing. And it's not a good thing at all, because again, it is funded by taxpayer dollars, and what it's going to do eventually, and what the United Nations want to do, even in this country, is have population control, so that they will have less children in the world, and then they say, well, we have less people to feed. But this society, our country, was founded on the principles of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and not on population control, but on freedom and free enterprise, and the United Nations is the direct opposite. And they want to control the population, and by having genderism, sexual orientation is one way they can do that. And in fact, they're pushing a new world order, as President George Bush had said in the early 90s, and one world government, which is not good for this country. And under President Donald Trump, I must say, who I voted and supported, it will never, ever happen. And we must all push back on it in every way, shape, or form that we find it. And this is one shape or form that we find it. And it's being pushed down into our local communities and into our states and being adopted through maybe boards. And it's being funded by businesses because they have incentives to fund it. And it's not a good thing for our people, because your tax dollars are being abused. So now you know what's going on. You know what this is all about when you hear the word genderism and sexual orientation. Why is it full blown in your face? Well, it's coming from the United Nations, and it's being funded as an incentive to fund it. And we do not want this, and it's happening. It's all happening right before your eyes. Well, thank you for listening to the broadcast. And a couple other things I'd like to update on past shows. I haven't been on the broadcast for a while. As you know how busy lifestyles come about when it's just a part-time broadcast right now until we get some sponsorship. But there was not an injunction placed on the Manchester surveillance cameras when we did a show on that. So I guess the lawsuit is going to continue because it is an invasion of your privacy. So the cameras are still up there, still spying on you. But I believe that the case found out that if they recognize personal identification on your face or any personal identification on your vehicle, that would be a criminal intent. But nevertheless, the cameras are still up there, and the lawsuit will continue to another court. Second of all, the case on Eric Garner, a young man that was selling cigarettes in New York, that was in a chokehold by a police officer, and he yelled many, many times to be released. Well, the Police Commission of New York has issued that officer be fired because of negligence on his part. And it was 21 times that the person yelled for help or said, "I can't breathe," and he didn't release him. So and the guy was not a murderer, he was just selling cigarettes. I mean, the whole case was so ridiculous, it should have never happened, and the police officer has been released from that. And then on the front of chemtrails in the New World Order, it appears that our friend Mr. Bill Gates is continuing to fund his climate initiative for chemtrails. They will be spraying lead with sodium bicarbonate and with silver iodide in the skies, and he's funding millions and millions of dollars for this climate initiative. So it's continuing now, and I hope the President and Congress will stop it, because even though it's private, it still does not belong in our country nor anywhere in the world, because it's killing the planet. It really is. That's the real climate change, when they're purposely spraying the skies and affecting our food and water supply. We won't have any food or water supplies if this continues, and it will ultimately destroy the planet. Well, thank you for listening to the broadcast again. My name is Cynthia Howard, and I can be reached at cindycool09@yahoo.com, at area code 603-543-1372. If you have a comment on the broadcast, you can reach me on social media platforms such as LinkedIn. I'm Cindy Tea Time on Twitter, and I'm also Cynthia Howard on Facebook, and Citizens for Lower Taxes on Facebook, as well as ccltgroup.webs.com is my website. We do not have a sponsor, and I'm looking for a sponsor out there. As soon as we do, we can have more broadcasts like these, and maybe more in-depth broadcasts like these. And what I want you to do is do your own research, and you will find out more information than probably what I reported on today. And it's a good idea to look all this up, because the UN is behind a lot of these things, trying to change our country, trying to change our belief in God. And we can't let them take over. And only you, as an informed citizen, can stop it. And I hope you participate and do your work and do your research. And I'm signing out, and I want you to have a good day, and look for my future broadcasts. And they'll be out there. And I'm glad you listened today, because it is a strange, strange world we live in.